Hello, everyone. Let me put the recording, please. Sorry. Welcome to the Global Sustainable Futures Progress Partnership Network event on SDGs, climate change, and global sustainable futures, specially delivered for a contribution to Climate Fringe Week 2021. So welcome to all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are and you are joining us in this Zoom setting. So just a technical remark to start off. Please do everyone keep your cameras on if you wish, but do switch off the microphones off until you are taking the floor. Please also note that this is a public event and it is being recorded while it is live on YouTube channel. So please be aware of this. Feel free to introduce yourself through chat function. You may provide your name and email address if you wish. And this chat will be saved and presentation and recording will be shared with you later. So welcome to you all, my fellow network coordinators and the Climate Fringe 2021 participants and rest here who have joined us today and who might be listening this recording later. So welcome to this unique SDGs, climate change and global sustainable futures seminar on the several aspects of SDGs that have targeting to help climate change and impact on global sustainable futures. This seminar is organized at the occasion of Climate Fringe 2021 by the Global Sustainable Futures Progress Through Partnership Network. So firstly, I would like to thank the in-kind support UCEM, the supporter, the UCEM, the University College of Estate Management based in Reading, UK, for the support of this Zoom platform and allowing this seminar. Secondly, I would like to acknowledge and thank all 700 coordinators from 101 countries of my network who have been supporting various activities on social media and engaging with various research and other associated projects. And thirdly, I would like to thank all of them at the outset for hosting this event, and also to excellent panel of 20 speakers with us. And I would like to introduce the speakers as we go through the presentations. But to start the meeting, I will bring up to the speed with this network's vision and ongoing activities. Following this, we will have the speakers joining from different parts of the world to bring their ideas, talk, concerns, and solutions with particular focus on how we can address the challenge of climate change. Finally, we have an interesting session at the end of our seminar, and that is with the EXIP app, which will be introduced by Matt Castle from Axis Workshops Limited, and you all are invited to take part in this session. So I am founder of Global Sustainable Futures Progress Through Partnership Network, Dr. Renuka Thakur, Research Officer and Tutor at the University College of Estate Management. So my dear colleagues, I take this opportunity to introduce you my network. I'm proud to announce that we are online network with 700 very enthusiastic coordinators from 101 countries. This network, of course, offers networking opportunities and serves as capacity building and knowledge exchange among and between us. The vision of my network is that through global sustainable futures, progress through partnership, we want to play a leading role in creating an inclusive, collaborative, innovative, and engaging platform for early career researchers and like-targeted stakeholders, including startups and entrepreneurs, supported by experienced senior researchers and business leaders, where everyone can share in their research, innovation, visualization, and enthusiasm in parallel to network success. Our priorities are to empower communities and build capacities for sustainable practices. We strive to improve economic, social, and environmental conditions to enable a fair and inclusive society. We network and engage for more sustainable systems and co-create sustainable and resilient development pathways to secure sustainable futures for all and everyone. Our fundamental objective is to create a strong research environment, building to multidisciplinary and multisectoral team of endogenous professionals that would be capable of pursuing and utilizing participatory and integrative approaches in solving public and environmental sustainability problems. In addition to this, our key focus is to encourage mobilization and engagement, building a community of practice and producing a critical mass of good practices. Here, visit us. This link will take you to the web pages, and the other link, join us, will take you a form to join the network. So please feel free to join our network. Currently, we focus on 3 main activities. Every month, we choose the goal of month announced by the UN and engage with it through social media. We have WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, blog, and Slack channels. We are also associated with Future Earth and have created a circle. Second, every month, we engage with strategic and emerging global debate through monthly seminars. These meetings serve us as networking and capacity development sessions. Finally, most importantly, we develop innovative research projects engaging with social global issues, targeting 1 or more Sustainable Development Goals 2030 and beyond. So today we have these 20 speakers. And the first one is Geoff Isaac from Australia, and he will be speaking on which plastic chair is best for the planet. Second, we have from India, Dr. Vishal Chaudhary speaking on ammonia emission and monitoring role in climate change. Third, we have Sarpong Hammond Antwi from Ireland, communicating water availability and conservation during the period of drought. Fourth, we have Craig Rothlemer from Australia, speaking on stormwater from waterway and ocean contaminated to the new water resource. Fifth is from India, Shreya Som, speaking on sustainable agricultural practice and SDG linkages case of India. Then we have Dr. Mahwish Ali from Pakistan talking on climate-based, a potential threat for precursors of disease status in Pakistan. Next, we have James Kamiri Nyuguna from Kenya talking on plastic problems and solutions. Following him, we have Burkina Faso Ibrahim Niha, talking on climate change and thermal comfort. Following that, Bhutan, we have Tegh Bahadur Katiwara to speak on climate change impact and approaches. And then we have Vincent Sumo from Indonesia, bringing forest to the gardens. And then we have Dr. Ahmed K. Ad El Amid from Egypt, speaking on climate change mitigation and resilience in the urban context. Following him, Kenya, Peter Wawuru Wangai to speak on climate change mitigation and sustainability in Kenya. Then we have creating a circular economy in our community, a case study of a methyl rother delivered by Dr. Sinead Michel, Republic of Ireland. And then we have Edward Darling from United Kingdom talking on connecting knowledge and activity to sustain life for today's generation and tomorrow's. Following him, we will have Jose Luis Esteve from Brazil talking on innovating sustainable futures for education to improve human behavior. And then finally, we have these 5 speakers, Jonathan Harris from England talking on integrating education for sustainable development into arts education. Then we have Fatima Adeisanya from Nigeria, mobilizing financial resources for climate change. Following her, we have Professor Dr. Walgom George Alter from Germany, speaking on meaningful tourism is a new paradigm for the post-pandemic era. And then finally, we have Matt Castle from United Kingdom talking on innovation and collaboration to mitigate the climate crisis, and he will be using his app. And finally, I will close the session by 4 or just after 4. So first we have Geoff Isaac, and here he has his recording on one side, so we'll go there.
Could this plastic chair help save the planet? Plastics cause enormous environmental damage. Fossil fuels are burned to create them, and most end up in landfill or littered, polluting our oceans and even our food. It gets worse. Production of plastic will triple by 2050, by which time there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. We could try and stop using plastic altogether. Good luck with that. But even if it were possible, the environmental impact of using materials like wood or metal would just be worse. There is a solution: renewable carbon plastics. That's recycled plastic and bioplastics. These materials were primarily developed for grocery suppliers, keen to eliminate virgin fossil plastics from their packaging. That's great, but what about the thousands of plastic products that we use every day? Pens, toothbrushes, smartphones, and even plastic chairs. Made from recycled plastic, the Bell chair by Konstantin Gerzik is about half a kilo lighter than other plastic chairs. It stacks vertically 12 high for transportation and can also be recycled. It's a perfect example of how design has the power to decrease the demand for planet-destroying virgin fossil plastics. The Bell chair is just one of many recent designs made from renewable carbon plastics. But are all these chairs more sustainable than a traditional plastic chair? Tools do exist to make these types of comparisons, but they're very complicated to use, and industry just simply ignores them. I've created a simplified digital tool to calculate environmentally responsible product ratings for 32 chairs made from renewable carbon plastics. 5 perform much better than the rest. Next, I interviewed 20 leading international product designers, including Philippe Stark and Karim Rashid, to get their expert opinions on renewable carbon plastics and the barriers to using them. I've analysed these interviews and studied the most environmentally friendly chairs, such as the Bell Chair, to identify what can be learned to drive the uptake of renewable carbon plastics. My 20 years experience marketing transitional technologies such as the internet and 5 years working on waste projects at the EPA have helped me here. I'm now applying a theoretical model to identify strategies to help designers and manufacturers transition to developing more environmentally friendly plastic products. While my focus has been on plastic chairs, most findings are relevant to all those working with plastics. We have no choice but to minimise our use of virgin fossil plastics going forward. My research helps accelerate the transition towards more eco-friendly plastics so we can all continue to enjoy the countless benefits of plastic while we leave the ocean for the fish.
Hello everyone, I am Shreya Shom from India and I am going to talk about sustainable agricultural practices and how scaling up these practices have SDG related impacts. All the studies used to prepare this presentation is based on India.
Sorry, I think the second person is Dr. Vishal Chaudhary and he will share his screen.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So, very warm greetings to everyone. Without wasting the time, I will get to the topic itself. But I would like to thank Dr. Renuka to set up this platform to discuss the various global concerns over a common platform. Since in India, it's a saying that Vasudev Kutumbakam, that means whole world is a family. So, as a family, we are here to combat one of the biggest challenge, which is climate change. So I'll be talking about the role of ammonia emission and monitoring in climate change. It is least talked. Ammonia is also a primary pollutant, I would say, but it is least talked and majorly impacting pollutant amongst all. And the importance of its emission and monitoring and role in climate change has never been discussed in such platforms. So ammonia is a pungent gas and a colorless gas, and I have put this slide to frighten all you that I am going to talk about the chemistry, but I am not going to talk about the chemistry. So we are moving towards the basic figures. So ammonia is vastly used in various manufacturing industries as a raw material, such as in medicine, cosmetics, refrigerants. It is also used in hydrogen production and storage, which is a very upcoming field nowadays, because you must know that to combat energy crisis, there is production of energy through hydrogen and storage, and ammonia has been used as a raw product. So due to so vast used, the production capacity of ammonia was reported to be 230 million metric tons in 2019, and which is predicted to reach 290 million metric tons in 2030. So it is a very, it has been used on very vast scale, I would say, as a raw material. So the monitoring aspect is very important for it. Now the major part which comes to the environment, the major sources of ammonia includes various practices, and the major contributor amongst them is agricultural feed. 94.2% ammonia comes from the agricultural field. and rest are households and the vehicles and other parts basically. So, however, uh, uh, are amongst from 94%, 75% ammonia comes from livestock, 22% comes from the fertilizers which has been used in the crop production. So, uh, when it reaches to the atmosphere, the ammonia reaches to the atmosphere, it is very dangerous to environment because the emission of ammonia on such a huge scale into the environment is not, I mean, healthy for us as well for the environment. It causes eutrophication. Eutrophication means the increase in ammonia concentration affects the life of aquatic animals because it promotes the growth of algae, which consumes the oxygen present in the aquatic life. So it adversely affects the aquatic life. It also leads to acidification. So it is also one of the cause of acid rain because it forms nitric acid when it reaches to the clouds. So, and it also covers the soil. So it acidifies the soil, water, and the air basically. So one major concern is that it is one of the major material which I mean one of the major reactant which produces particulate matter 2.5, and we are all aware that PM 2.5 is a very dangerous. It produces smoke-like situations, and it is very injurious to the respiratory system. It also contributes to the climate change due to the smoke production. So, in a way, it has also been verified that particulate matter 2.5 and ammonia indirectly plays a role of various viruses such as coronavirus in this COVID-19 era. So it is very dangerous in that way. As well, it affects the ammonia affects our respiratory system, the nervous system, and the epithelial system of human. So, according to the occupational hazard guidelines, 25 ppm for long-term exposure for I mean are hazardous for humans as well. They are hazardous to cattle and livestock because it leads to the mortality in large feed conversions and increase the weight of cattle. So basically, ammonia is affecting each and every aspect of our life. It is affecting health, as we have discussed. It affects human nervous system and respiratory system. It affects climate because it helps in production of particulate matter 2.5, which again acts as a secondary pollutant. So, and due to the production of smoke, so there is it also acts as a greenhouse gas which absorbs heat, traps heat, and raises the temperature. So it affects health, it affects the climate, it affects the water by acidification, it affects the energy because the smoke, due to the smoke conditions, there will be less solar energy yields. So and it also affects our food chain by affecting our food system. So it has major impact on all the aspects of the life. So in air climate change, the ammonium ions interact with other volatile organic contaminants and form smoke, which is a major part, which plays a major role in climate change. So since our time is less, so I'm ending up here by saying that how it can be controlled. It can be controlled by replacing the nitrate fertilizers that have been used in agricultural practices by ammonium nitrate. It reduces the production of emission of ammonia from fertilizers and agriculture field up to 90%. Another alternative is use of ammonia, which is the key, I would say, very impactful to control the ammonia emission. We need to develop ammonia regulation practices, and we need legislative reforms as well to control the ammonia emission, because it has never been discussed on the huge platform as a major air pollutant, while it is contributing to every I mean, it is affecting the every aspect of life in a different way. So I'm ending up by saying that ammonia monitoring and monitoring of ammonia emission is very essential for food industry, for breath analysis, for livestock, for in COVID-19 era, since the product of ammonia, which is particulate matter 2.5, act as a secondary source of viruses and it helps in the spread of COVID-19. So it is very essential to monitor the emission of ammonia. So I will end up by saying this. Thank you, Renuka.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Vishal Chaudhary. And now we have Sarpong Hamad Antwi.
So with your permission, I can share my slides.
Yes, sure.
Okay. So, yeah, just a second here. Okay. Can you all see that?
Not yet. Yes. Now we can see. You can put it on full PowerPoint, like full screen. I mean, sorry, slideshow. Yes. Perfect.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our cherished listeners from across the globe. So my name is Sapon Hamon. I'm a PhD student in Dundalk IT in the Republic of Ireland. So I'm privileged to share with you one of the studies we completed sometime last month that looks at communicating water availability to improve awareness and implementation of conservation measures in the Republic of Ireland. So the climate across the world, especially in Ireland, has been changing, and that has critical impact on water resources, critical use such as drinking, in terms of water quality and availability. So drought is one of the impact of climate change that is set to change the level of fresh water in the world and how quality it is. And then if you look at the impact of drought and how it has become prevalent, it's important for us to discuss this topic vis-a-vis water resources. So it has significant impact on almost all the SDGs, but particularly on this topic, it targets goals 6, 11, 13, and 3. It is also important to communicate the impact of drought and to share the forecasts around it and how it changes water availability across regional scale and local scale, so as to inspire conservation measures and actions. So specifically, Ireland as a case study has endured over 45 drought in history since the 1850s when droughts were recorded. 22 of these droughts were short term, and the longest cumulatively have been about 19. Particularly in 2018, during the drought event that took place, temperatures rose to about 30 to 32 degrees, making 2018 one of the driest summers in 56 years of the country's history. In 2020, there was also another drought that led to conservation measures. And during this period, national water demand increased by over 15%. And then if you look at this prevalent drought and increase in water demand, Ireland is an island country, and most people believe that there's a lot of water, so there shouldn't be a need or reason to conserve water. So most of the measures that has been taken by various stakeholders and the government to conserve water during this period have not yielded the right resource. So we try to assess how communication is being done during this period. So we look at social media communication during drought, as well as how newspapers carry stories on drought, because we believe communication has impact on people's action, especially during this critical moment. So quickly, our results, we found out that between 2018, 2019 and 2020, where there were drought of various scale, newspaper publications were not stable. So the Irish New Times published the highest number of stories on drought, and Irish Independent followed by the Irish Examiner. Most of our stakeholder interviewees argued the fact that COVID was one reason why, in spite of the challenges of the 2020 drought period, they didn't cover, or newspapers could not cover most of the impact of it. So if you look at the diagram, you can see that 2018 had the highest publication, whilst 2020 was minimal, despite the fact that there were a lot of drought events. So if you talk about communication, how you communicate should be in different formats. You can communicate in terms of economics, in terms of political hydrology or under risks and uncertainty. And all these frames have impact on how the people receive messages on drought communication. So we realized that over the years, climate communication in Ireland had been framed around politics. But between these 3 years, the typology changed, and then drought communication were basically framed across or around uncertainty and risks. And that should tell you that a lot of people are now taking key interest on the impact of climate-related issues such as drought. Interestingly, most of the newspaper coverage of droughts in Ireland were reported outside of the country. And this is consistent with how media organizations carry stories, especially in developed countries. They focus more on the outside than the internal. So you realize that all newspaper communication on drought, as much as 62 or 23.13%, were focused in Africa, in Australia, in America. Whilst there were challenges in Ireland, but they were quiet about it. So as I said, our analysis indicated that Irish newspaper coverage of drought and water availability increased in 2018, and then it fell steadily in 2019. But the media landscape of interest changed in 2020 because of COVID, the situation we took the front page media. And then we realized that if you look at the content of most of these newspaper stories, they strangely avoided words like water scarcity and shortage. And then in describing the impact of droughts in the country, and then uncertainty and risks remain the most prevalent frame across which communication on water was communicated. And then the national news outlet, which is the RTE News, focus on drought and water resources, linking it to international cases more than Irish perspective. So our findings reveal an unexpected silence among political parties in relation to water resources. So prior to these years, politicians had a lot of stake, just like in many countries, and they usually speak about drought. But in recent times, that has been changing because communities, local groups, and non-governmental organizations have been taking key interest in the issues relating to drought. So the communication landscape has been changing. So we also find out that the public response to water conservation, despite this progress and challenges, is still low because many people believe that Ireland is a wet country with a lot of rain, and then there should be too much concern about water conservation. In the current media landscape, Irish Water, which is a national utility, communicates through Facebook and Twitter, and then they liaise with journalists who also serve as influence of change. Irish Water, however, is alone when it comes to communicating drought. There are no major synergies between different organizations working in the water sector and across the environment, because drought cuts across all facets of our society. It is expected of both academia, religious groups, political parties, state and non-state entities to come together in communicating the impact and in raising awareness. Unfortunately, this has always been left in the hands of the utility company, but their communication has not been up to expectation. But there has been some efforts. There are various communication or educational platforms where one can access information on drought and its changing impact on water availability. Nevertheless, a national drought information management is needed where people can have direct access to impact of drought and to be able to access data. Currently, the data are torn between different websites and web pages, so it becomes difficult to get synergies and understand the various trends that is going on. Based on this, we believe that Irish Water, which is the national utility, can improve on this strategy by offering the public a chance to interact and to talk to them during periods of drought. Because what we realize that if you look at the channels of communication by the utility, they don't sometimes even respond to queries of the public. And so people are left on their own. The utility just posts information. There is drought, water shortage here, or water is increasing here, and then people ask questions they want to know, but there is no dialogical communication, which is a two-way communication needed to improve understanding. Also, a consolidated national integrated drought system that will coordinate, monitor, forecast, and help plan and inform, especially regional, county, and local levels on issues of drought and to serve the general public, policymakers and the media is also needed, because the media relies on what the politicians tell them and the report produced by government. But when we have one central integrated drought information system, anyone can go there, pick up information, and such system, we recommend that it should be easy to use, and it should contain audio and visual materials, so that you don't need to be an expert to understand drought or climate phenomena, but then you can read and understand or visit such page and get the needed information. Also, if you look at the country, there is no specific drought, national drought plan. Drought is being discussed as various sectorial plans and then policies. So we recommend that we need a specific drought, national drought plan and mitigative plan that will help us to improve on resiliency in the water sector, especially because drought is driving water scarcity across some parts of the country. Also, as a link between policymakers and the media and the public, the media should increasingly subject policymakers to scrutiny by assessing their policies, their plans, and the interventions they have for the environment, especially on water and drought and climate efforts, and to ensure that drought resiliency around the water sector is built not as a crisis management, but as a proactive approach that will require active stakeholder engagement. There should be the involvement of private, public, academic, and financial institutions. So we don't only act when there is drought, but then we try to be proactive in our measures. And then, of course, infrastructure is very key. So water infrastructures that are needed to ensure constant supply and then to avoid uninterrupted supply during such periods where water demand is high is also needed. We also specifically mentioned some institutions like the Commission for Regulation of Utilities, LawPro, which is a local organization that deals with communities, as well as the Water Forum, research and academic institutions, and local councils to engage and educate the public on water conservation measures during drought by collaborating with Irish Water. So they don't leave the national utility alone to be talking, but they form synergies and collaboration so that it can help increase national awareness. We believe that such collaboration can lead to an evidence-based approach to communication that is backed by imperial studies. So researchers can contribute to imperial studies on the changing dynamics, and then various local organizations can expand on their knowledge, and then we have institutions or bodies that can implement the actions. So this is quite interesting study, but for the want of time, I needed to run across it. But a study has been published out of this, and then I think I'll make the link available in the general WhatsApp group, and in the next blog that will come out, we make the full paper available for anyone who will read. And the interesting thing about this study is that drought cuts across many countries and continents, so the study can be adapted in different jurisdictions, and we believe that through awareness creation and communication, we can also mitigate the impact of climate phenomena such as drought on essential resources like water. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now we have Greg Rothleitner from Australia speaking on stormwater. So we are following the water sequence now. Yes, can you stop sharing? Yeah, you have already. Yes, Greg, can you go?
Yes, hello, Renuka, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak, and hello to everybody. I will share the screen. Hang on a second. Why is it not? Can you see? Oh, here we go. All right, can everybody see that all right?
Yes, but can you put it on slideshow, please?
Yes, okay. All right, my name is Craig Rothleitner. I'm the Director of RE Water Solutions based out of Perth in Western Australia. And I'm going to talk about stormwater, something that myself and my team have put 15 years into bringing a solution to stormwater contamination. First, I like to start with this, which is talking about what is contaminating our our rivers and our oceans. Well, natural runoff for millions of years was successfully managed by the earth, and then we came along as humans and started with agricultural runoff, sewer and wastewater, stormwater, and what we've now seen quite a lot in the public domain is developing nations are basically using rivers as their rubbish bins. So we need to address these if we're going to win. Agricultural runoff at the moment doesn't have a solution. Sewer and wastewater still has a long way to go, but at least we are addressing it, and private equity is now starting to see it as an investment opportunity. Stormwater up until now literally has been out of sight, out of mind. It is an extremely heavy polluter of our waterways and oceans, and it's gone pretty much unnoticed because as the largest infrastructure that we have underground under our roads and footpaths, the only openings into it are the drains. And most people just think, okay, the water goes down the drain. But what you're about to see is there's a lot more going on. So firstly, rainfall. It's our only free source of water. If you look at desalinated water, you look at wastewater for reuse, even groundwater, it all costs money to get it out, to get to it. Rain falls on our heads. And this is just one example of how much water we're literally letting wash down the drains. It's a lot of water. In Perth, where I live, we are the most remote, driest capital city in the world with 2 million people. We're getting 700 millimetres a year, which equates to 700 litres per square metre that literally is just washing down the drain, contaminating everything it touches. This is how it happens. Leaves, dead vegetation, collects in the gutters, the winds carry it to the drains, then the water does. When there is water present in the drains, within 3 days, the anaerobic breakdown of the dead vegetation starts. And what that does is it turns these drains into mulch pits, literally. Science knows that mulch pits are good for two things, creating nutrients and methane. This is what our infrastructure looks like when you open up the drains. And look, I've spent 15 years on this. I've opened up about 15 to 17,000 drains, and they're all the same because there is no solution to this until now. This is a massive emerging health threat as the world climate warms. Mediterranean climates already have this problem, but you're going to see this become worse. Mosquito habitat one-on-one is in the drainage system. It's the perfect food source, and there are no predators whatsoever taking hold of these larvae. Now, this is a drain right in front of our own Parliament House, and you should have seen the look on the Water Minister's face when I showed them that one. Next thing is the plastics. We blame third world countries or developing countries on plastics in the waterways and oceans, but developed nations, we are a messy race. This is what I see in drains everywhere. So we have to address this, and the only way we can address this is what I'm going to show you as we get a little bit further. Now, worse still is that I remember 25 years ago, waterways, we could still swim in them. You go to any of the major cities, any major human-occupied environments, and this is what you'll see when you go to swim. You can't. We are in Perth, for example, the river city, and there are signs everywhere. Don't eat the prawns, don't eat the fish, don't swim. It basically means not fit for human consumption. And now the latest thing is toxic algal blooms or cyanobacterial blooms. Now, these are taking over our waterways globally. It is known now with climate change, our water bodies are warming, as are the oceans, and that plays right into the hands of cyanobacterial blooms. They need warmth and they need nutrients. The drainage systems are feeding hypernutrient loads into our waterways, which is just driving these toxic algal blooms. Now, the scary thing about the toxic algal blooms is that science is now directly linking triggers for dementia, Parkinson's, motor neuron disease, and Alzheimer's is cyanobacterial blooms. So the scary thing is the environment's fighting back. We're polluting the hell out of it. It's fighting back with this, and now it's really coming back to bite us. Here's just one example of what we stormwater retention lake in suburbia. What you're going to see here is zero marine life. The bubbles that you're seeing, methane coming out of the rotting vegetation in the waterway. And from this one lake, they were pulling about 100 dead birds out of it every 6 months. If your dog licks that water, it's going to either get sick or die. This is happening a lot in the US now. Police are even stopping people from going near water bodies like this. So this is the emerging threat, another emerging threat that is coming through stormwater, drains being open to the elements. So, oops, sorry, next one. So this is how we do it. Basically, we've invented and developed the biggest leap forward in mass water filtration. If we look at this device here, where my pointer is, that will process about 4,500 litres per minute, filtering down to 63 micron. This device in the bottom left will be about 5,500 litres per minute. This device here is more like 6,500 litres a minute. So this is well within and exceeding the stormwater requirements. But more importantly, the device cannot cause flooding and cannot affect the hydraulic gradient line of the network. So all we're doing here is we've already installed trillions and trillions of dollars worth of stormwater infrastructure, but it's been open to the elements from day one. Now, what we have to do is, we can't put this in every drain, but what we can do is drainage systems that are connected to waterways, we have to clean it out because it's been open to the elements for decades. Then what we have to do is protect it with at-source treatment. We have to service that at-source treatment. All of a sudden, we're going to see our waterways recover because nature, it's already been proven in Sweden that if you remove the contamination from the stormwater, the water body that's highly affected by it will recover fairly quickly. Nature recovers quickly. Now, most importantly, we don't want all this waste to go into landfill. So we're looking at the vegetative waste that we capture, actually now talking about this going into wastewater treatment plants to extenuate methane production. What they've found is in wastewater treatment plants, they create methane, so we're using that, but if you add vegetation to it, it actually is adding anywhere between 76 and 276% in increased methane production. So we can take the waste, we can do something with it. The other big one is road base. Roadside drains capture an enormous amount of road base. And there's companies now around the world who are looking at reconstituting road base. So we put these into the freeways, we collect the road base, and then that can go into reconstitution. So this is important for a recirculating economy with this waste. Now, this is the first device on the left. This is what's called a side entry pit. It will hold about 140 kilos of sand. In this case, what you're seeing is how we service them. So we pull these things out of the ground with a crane because they are extremely heavy. We pull the insert that is out, that is in that basket out, put another one in, put it back in the ground, and we can do all of that within about 5 minutes. We have so many drains that we need a process of servicing that is very quick, minimises traffic disruption. So this is what we've developed over many years. Construction waste is another major player in contaminating our stormwater systems. There has been considerable work done here in Australia. A typical house building site will lose about a tonne of sand during the construction process. and land developers, commercial and industrial and residential land developers, are losing so much sediment and sand into the stormwater system, it's actually redirecting rivers. And we've seen it here, and there is enough evidence now. It's been done through universities over many years. So this is something that needs to be addressed. We are now dealing with a couple of very big construction companies that are using this, but this needs to be taken on in the maths if we're going to make a difference. So here's just another short video of what we capture in these drains. Leave this video up a little bit actually so you can see it. This is what's normally going into the stormwater system. It's concrete, sand, all sorts of nasty stuff. So now, this is where it gets interesting. We believe that there is a number of very big problems the government are just about to start facing. Number one, if you look at the drainage infrastructure, it's had decades and decades of waste build up in that system. Now, while before climate change really took hold, rainfall was quite steady. So it would go down the drains and just slowly seep through the blockages. Now it's fast, it's hard, what's happening is it's going down the drains, hitting the blockages, coming back up, and there we have flash flooding. The water just can't get away. So sooner or later, the insurance companies for the councils and the municipalities are going to say, well, why is all this flash flooding happening? Well, and you don't maintain the infrastructure, we're not paying. And the next one is the toxic or harmful algal blooms. If this is proven beyond doubt and they find a way to identify it quickly, the class actions that are becoming from people who live next to toxic algal blooms, and I'll give Florida Waterways as a big heads up because they've been completely taken over, who's going to be paying those class actions? The next one is mosquito-borne diseases. Dengue, we've got it in northern Queensland. It's slowly making its way around, and we've got entire drainage systems sitting there ready to accept them. So that's... Now, stormwater is affecting SDGs 6, 9, 11, 13, 14, 17. And the previous speaker, Sarpong, made some very good points. How much do the public know? Well, the public actually know very little, and the government are doing their best to make sure that they don't find out. But the problem is we're running out of water. And look, like I said, here in Perth, we're 2 million people, 40% of our drinking water comes out of the ground, and we're starting to run out of water. So this is going to affect all of us. What we can do, once we've cleaned the infrastructure, we can actually clean. So the first thing is clean up our water environments. We can start to put SUDs, living streams, water sensitive urban design will now work properly when it's connected to stormwater. Most importantly, we need to start using the ground like a bank, and that is using managed aquifer recharge. And I can send people information on that if they wish. Thank you very much for allowing me to present. Just one last thing on this picture. It's green. Isn't water meant to be blue? And this is in every city around the world. It's either brown or green. So thank you very much, Renuka, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will now ask, it is the turn of Shreya Som from India, Sustainable Agriculture Practices and SDG Linkages Case of India. And she has already sent me a recorded session, so allow me to share that. Oops. Hold on a second, something has gone wrong. I'll try to share again. Why this is happening?
Hello everyone, I am Shreya
Yes.
Shum from
The
India,
sound.
and I am going to talk about sustainable agricultural practices
Good.
and how scaling up these practices have SDG related
Oh,
impacts. All the studies use
I don't know why. Something is wrong. Okay.
to prepare this presentation is based on India. So what is the issue here? The issue is emissions from Indian agriculture. So Indian agriculture emits 16% of India's total emission. And why this occurs? This occurs due to the techniques and technologies used in the production process. This is a pictorial representation of the sources of agricultural emission taken from the IPCC report of 2007. So what is the solution then? The solution is to shift to sustainable agricultural practices or scale up sustainable agricultural practices. What I did here is I selected 4 sustainable agricultural practices that are used in India, and I have grouped the sustainable development goals into 4 dimensions, and then I tried to see how implementing the selected sustainable agricultural practices have SDG related impacts. For that, the methodology used is first I reviewed papers. So I used the systematic review approach and read around 674 papers for India. And after screening and everything, I included 74 papers in this study, and I have used the Nielsen score method to quantify the SDG linkages. So if we see the results, if we see the links with social dimension, then we can see that all the SDGs are having net positive scores, except SDG 5 and 10 for sustainable intensification. What is the reason behind this? There are studies that have shown that the projects which are based on sustainable intensification, those projects show that sustainable rice intensification basically needs menial labor, and the women workforce charge less. So all the menial labors are being done by the women labor force, and they are paid less. So this increases the gender disparities. And for the same practice, sustainable intensification of rice, it also reinforces the class inequality, because to adopt these practices and to incentivize farmers, Government of India provides various incentives, for example, subsidies, and these subsidies are based on the amount of land holding. And since small landholders have lesser land holding than large landholders, so they are already poor and they get also less amount. So this increases the class inequality. If we see the economic dimensions, then all are having net positive scores, but the main barrier behind scaling up these practices are like high cost of technology and lack of awareness. For environmental dimensions also, we have all positive net scores, but the major issue here is the farmers face various practical constraints, like they don't know how to drain out water from the field during wet season, which increases methane emissions. So this is basically the case of paddy cultivation. So these are the practical barriers that the farmers face. And if we see links with SDG 16 and 17, then we see that these are also having positive scores, but there are various issues. What are those? Those are related to lack of awareness about the technology, lack of proper incentives, and government, or limited knowledge among the government extension agents who are basically training the farmers. they don't have knowledge about how to implement sustainable intensification practices or climate smart agricultural practices in small landholding. And since in India, small landholders are much more, that's why this is a problem. So what are the solutions? The solutions are capacity building programs, promote targeted policy incentives, enhance policy coherence, promotes partnership, and provide data to the farmers. So summary is we are having more positive links than negative links, though negative links can be solved by expert consultation. So this is basically the study where we can think that the options will not only mitigate emission, but it will also pave the path towards sustainable development in Indian agriculture. These are some good practices that are followed in India. So thank you. That's all from my side. And if you want to know more about how these practices are linked with each and every SDGs, you can read this paper. This is open access. And if you have any clarification, if you need to know the methodology in more detail, you can email me. That's all from my part. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shreya. I think it was just in time and perfect. Thank you very much. Now I will invite Mahwish Ali to speak on climate-based, a potential threat for repercussions, and she is from Pakistan.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you. Carry on.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And I would like to thank you, Dr. Renuka, for giving me this opportunity to present my review paper through this forum. So the topic of my paper is climate-based, a potential threat for repercussion of disease status in Pakistan. And actually, I am covering the two major SDGs, that is number 3 is good health and well-being, and number 13 is a climate action. So all we know that climate change is devastatingly affecting the environment and health of human beings globally. And it is causing emergence and re-emergence of the diseases that are always followed by the extreme weather events like extreme summers, extreme winters, uneven rain patterns, that is always followed by the flood, or maybe no rain that is followed by the drought. So twists and turns of these climate change are always projected because of increase in urbanization and advancement in technology, and all of these are causing by the anthropogenic activities. So climate change actually is, what is the climate change? We divided it into the 4 portions, that is rise in temperature, alteration in precipitation patterns, severe or extreme weather event disasters, or UV radiations. So climate is directly affecting human lives by causing flood, drought, wildfire, rise in ocean level and acidification of water bodies, lake outburst, earthquakes, and ozone depletions. And ultimately it is indirectly affecting the air, water, and soil pollution, changes in ecology due to environmental degradation, hyperthermia, water contamination, indoor and outdoor pollution. Moreover, the health consequences that is facing by the humans are vector-borne diseases, water and food-borne diseases, behavioral and cognitive defects, cardiovascular and respiratory diseases, and skin infections. So my major topic is climate change and its impact on Pakistan. So this heat map of Pakistan, it is showing the red area is showing that increase in temperature in the various regions of Pakistan. So Pakistan is among the one of the developing country which have been strongly affected by several emerging and re-emerging diseases outbreaks as a consequences of the climate change. In last 2 decades, the death rate due to the climate change causing diseases recorded in Pakistan is 521 lives per year. And since 1996, Pakistan have faced 120 extreme weather events, including cyclones, floods, heat waves, storms, and glacial lake outburst floods. So this will ultimately increase the rate of morbidity and mortality related not only to the vector-borne but also the food-borne diseases that is contributed to the prevalence of neurological, cardiovascular and respiratory disorders in Pakistan. Due to shortage of time, I'm not going into the detail that how all the pollutants are impacting the human health. If someone needs more information, I will share the link of this paper where we deeply discuss that how all these factors are impacting human life. So after the detailed surveillance study in Pakistan, we mapped the various climate-related outbreaks in different provinces of Pakistan, and the all colored icons, they are showing different diseases and which disease is present in which province of Pakistan. After the detailed surveillance and getting data from the hospitals and the surveillance data from the government, we came to know that almost every province of the Pakistan is now affecting by the climate change and its extreme events of emergence and re-emergence of the disease statuses. So what are the policies and recommendations to cope up with the SDGs, SDG 3 and 13 first is the raise awareness about climate change and how it is impacting the human life, identify and monitor the risks associated with climate change, development of effective strategies for robust surveillance, early warning systems, and preventive measures for the expeditious management of disaster related to the climate change, provide proper water management and sanitation facilities at grassroots level, and strict implementation of green fiscal policy by imposing carbon tax is much important, especially for the developing countries, and more rigorous and administrative laws for deforestation should be the part of policy to help the provincial government concerned officials to better learn how to oversee the environmental policy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And now we will bring James from, he's from Kenya. So he has given me his recording. So let me just recording and play with you for you. I don't know, something is internet or something, because it is just delaying from what I'm trying to do here.
Network. I would like to.
The voice is quite low in this recording, so just please bear with me.
My name is James Karemin Jogona, and I'm a graduate mechanical engineer from Kenya. I will present today my research and findings on some of the thermal and mechanical properties of recycled polyurethane foam.
Let me just make it stereo, and if you can hear properly.
Polyurethane elastomer from glycolysis polyol. This is a material that was prepared from recovered polyol, which was obtained through glycolysis process.
Can you make it a bit louder, Renuka?
I cannot. I tried, but I cannot.
In this presentation, I will discuss
let me just try again. Yeah.
Introduce you on.
That's all I can make.
This type of polymer. I will also state my problem statement, and I will also discuss on the solutions to my findings. Polymers can be classified based on their.
I think he's too conscious about speaking.
Properties and uses. This polymer can also be divided into two major classes. So we have thermoplastics and thermosets as shown below. However, the extensive use of landfills as the final destiny of polyurethane foam waste from end-of-life vehicles and waste from electrical and electronic equipment is generating a serious problem concerning the space it occupies in the municipal landfill. This is further attributed to the linear economy model of the take, make, use, and dispose of polyurethane foam materials. Circular economy solutions. These are the recycling routes are aimed at closing the material loop to deliver the sustainable development goals by reducing the amount of PU waste into the environment, where we have to save the energy and to protect the valuable natural resources. However, the consumer demand for recycled PU products is still low in the economy, owing to limited knowledge on the effects of recycling on the properties of PU materials. This research was aimed to determine the possible changes in the thermomechanical properties between rigid PU prepared using polyols derived from the polymerization of commercial PU foam with benchmark rigid PU. The ultimate goal was to determine the maximum service temperatures, that is the Tmax, at which the recycled PU can be used for prolonged periods without significant changes in properties. The specific objectives was to degrade polyurethane foam waste from automotive seat cushions using DPG, that is dipropylene glycol, and diethylene glycol as cleavage agents in the presence of dibutylamine as a catalyst. Then I would synthesize a rigid polyurethane plastic by utilizing the obtained recovered polyol from the glycolysis process. Later, I would determine the gas transition temperatures of the recycled PU and the ultimate tensile strength, yield strength, elastic modulus, elongation, and fracture hardness and toughness of the recycled PU plastic at different temperatures, and compare those properties with those of the benchmark rigid PU. The importance of these studies, or the significance of the studies, is to allow for a better understanding of the maximum service temperature at which the recycled PU can be used. So far, most studies of the glycolysis processes have focused on the effects of grafting the recovered polyol on the physical properties of recycled PU foam. These studies focused on determining the thermal and mechanical properties of recycled PU plastic, leading to process optimization research gaps. This will contribute to the global effect, the global efforts to minimize plastic pollution and effectively contribute to the circular economy's efforts of PU materials. As you can see, the recycling process, PU waste from different products, that is from refrigerators, that is the waste from electrical and electronic equipment, and automotives are recycled through a process known as glycolysis process, whereby the PU waste is broken down into lower molecular weight liquid products, which is the recovered polyol as one of the liquid product, which is reacted with the PMDI to produce the final polyurethane products. This study reveals that the recycled polyol could be used as a feedback for PU production with the applications tailored to its mechanical properties. This research was funded by the Technical University of Applied Science, Wildau in Germany, and the funder had no role in the design, data collections, and analysis, or the decision to publish the manuscript. This research was supported by DAD, the German Academic Exchange Service, and a Bridget project between the University and the Technical University of Applied Science, Wildau, Germany. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening. He had made, he is from, sorry, where is he from? Yes, he's from Kenya, and he had tried to join our platform several times in a, like for the meetings and other things to present. But every time he had a problem with electricity or internet. And this is the real problem which we have with low and medium income countries. And therefore I asked him to record. However, I think he was a bit conscious about speaking, and that's why we have got a low voice. But anyway, I really thank James for trying and contributing to this this event. Thank you. So we will move on. And now we have Ibrahim Nia from Burkina. And let me see if he is present. He has already sent me his slides. But I thought if he is able to speak. Nia, are you here? No, I don't think he is here. So I will share his slides. Let me make sure again now if I can do it. Just pity that it's not working on my side, some of the things. It's delayed. And yeah, it is not working again. Oof. I think everything is delayed on my side. I'm not sure why. Okay, I suppose I will be able to share his slides now. Okay, can everyone see? Yes, good, thank you. So I will just narrate what he has written in his notes. And so just listen me as Dr. Ibrahim Nia, okay? Thank you very much. So he is going to speak on, he was going to, like Dr. Nia was speaking on climate change and thermal comfort issues and solutions. And Dr. Nia Ibrahim is postdoctorate at Klim African researcher and Institution of Environment, Burkina Faso. So I am Dr. Ibrahim Nia, a postdoctorate researcher working on the impact of climate change on the thermal comfort in hot climates of sub-Saharan Africa. In this presentation, we will examine how global warming due to climate change affect the thermal comfort of people and discuss some passive strategies to reduce, to mitigate the heat stress and advance SDGs. At the end, I will highlight my current research. So the recent IPCC report projects have that in the coming decades, climate change will increase in all regions. In the next decades, the global warming may reach 1.5 centigrade. This situation will augment the heat waves frequency and intensity and affect our living conditions. The knowledge series of the Global Platform for Sustainable Cities, named Premier for Cool Cities, reducing exclusive urban heat showed the negative impact of heat waves on SDGs, particularly those displayed in this slide: 3, 4, 7, 8, 11, 13, 14, 15, and 16. For the reason of time, we will put an emphasis on only 3 of them, which is 3, 8, and 9. So considering, so for SDG 8, we notice that the excessive, for SDG 8, we notice that the excessive urban heat increased the demand of active devices to provide thermal comfort. That leads to the rise of active cooling devices price due to the high volume of the demand. Also, the increase in temperature will reduce in the current scenario the economic output of the medium city by 5.6%. In the worst affected cities, the decrease of economic output is estimated at 11% according to the research of Eutrophication in 2017. So peak demand is very sensitive to rising temperatures. Number of days where peak power is needed. Peak energy demand, that is every 0.6% of an air temperature increase, is associated with a 0.25 to 2.5% increase in peak electricity demand. Energy system resilience is electricity demand in cities will grow and after electricity cost and system efficiency. Transmission and distribution system performance decreases when an air temperature increases. Sorry. And here, he means to say that cooling energy demand, so cooling devices consume 20% of the total worldwide electricity used in buildings. And the demand of cooling is increasing due to the air temperature increase, high population growth rate, and income rise, especially in hot climate of developing countries. Therefore, it is needed to provide critical thermal comfort indoors, the use of air conditions. Okay, I'm not sure this quote is for, but I will read the quote. While providing critical thermal comfort indoors, the use of air conditioning increases electricity demand, generates greenhouse emissions that contribute to climate change, and generates waste heat that has the pervasive effect of raising urban air temperature, exacerbating the impact of heat on cities' most vulnerable population. And therefore, mitigation strategies are, I think, proposed, which are solar protection, solar reflective roof, solar reflective wall, solar reflective pavement, and passive building design. So if these mitigation strategies are implemented, and also he has given green solutions such as green roof, green water wall, permeable pavement, and tree canopy. So these are the mitigation strategies proposed for such reducing urban heat temperature. And the reflective surface, like he has also explained the mechanism that we have here 2 types of roofs, one colored in black and the other colored in white. So these roofs. And when we consider the solar rays hitting the roofs, only 5% reflected by black roof, very little when compared to the 80% solar radiation reflected by the white roof. When we took all the heating potential of the sun rays, we have 4.5 heating for the black roof, 3 times more than the white roof. So in this last slide, I would give a short overview of current research work on postdoctorate research at 2IE Institute. Indeed, we build a green platform to measure the real performance of the buildings in the hot climate of Burkina Faso. The test cells are made with cement the test, I think he has put the automatic transitions, I think, animation, and that's why I cannot control his slides, so I'm very sorry for that. So the test cells are made with cement portland and compressed earth blocks stabilized with cement or geopolymer. The research general objective is to examine the best passive strategies such as solar protection, thermal inertia, natural ventilation, and building blocks properties to ensure thermal comfort. We are recording weather data through a Vaisala weather station designed for harsh climatic conditions. On the right, I am showing an analysis of thermal comfort regarding the use of compressed earthen blocks stabilized with cement portland and compressed earthen block. Sorry. And earthen block. Okay. Where was I? And we intend to provide decision makers of the country the information necessary to adopt the best policies to face the urban heat waves due to climate change. Okay, and thank you for.
Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed Khaled. I'm an assistant.
Let me stop sharing and see whom we have first. Yes, now we have Tek Bahadur Katiwara from Bhutan. Are you ready?
Yes, doctor, thank you.
Yes, please. Do you want to share your screen?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, you can do that.
Hello, doctor. Are you able to hear me?
Sorry, yes, we are able to hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, doctor, for the opportunity. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I am Tek Bahadur from Bhutan. I wanted to talk about climate change impact and approaches concerning my country. Bhutan is a small country located between China and India. It's a Himalayan country. Basically, for this presentation, I have selected water as a special case. In our country, we have 6,555 water sources, such as spring, stream, rivers, but we don't have any ocean as well as seas. So the sad thing is that 35% of these water resources are in drying conditions and 2% in dried up condition. So the other impacts of the climate changes are glacial lake outburst flood back then 1994, landslides, flash floods, droughts, wind and thunderstorms, pests and diseases, forest fires, etc., that claimed many lives and greatly destroyed our natural resources. The UNICEF 2021 recent study shows that our children are also at climate change risks concerning actually their health, nutrition and safety. Also, the rising temperature concern back then, 1910 to 1960, within 50 years, there was slight increase in temperature from 0.5 0.8 to 1.5, which is 0.7 degrees Celsius. But I think the second phase, 1960 to 1930, within 30 years period, actually is quite enormous increase, is almost double. So which is also a concern. And with regard to GHG emission in our country, I think overall trend is increasing. The main contributing actually factors are energy, industry, and waste. Whereas in terms of agriculture, forest, and land use, I think we have managed to reduce drastically. So with regard to emission trend forecast, basically focusing on transport sector, I think the chart shows that there will be constant increase in the emission if we don't actually take some mitigating measures. So our livelihood depends on agriculture and also the economy on hydropower and tourism. All these actually are heavily dependent on climate change. And therefore, I think we need to do something actually in order to actually maybe have a better life or better future. So intervention actually country level, basically keeping in mind the global target to maintain below 2 degrees Celsius. So in our country, I think we have a good policy framework. We have the mother document, rule of law, that is the constitution that mandates 70% of forest cover at all time to come. We have also the development philosophy, so-called gross national happiness, that also strongly safeguards the environment. We have strong strategies, regulations, low carbon action plan, climate change policy. And also the government has also identified technology, knowledge, awareness creation, and advocacy as some of the key drivers for the interventions. Just to give you some examples on carbon emission, actually, we have a so-called ecotourism flagship program, basically to use as a ways and means to conserve our resources and also promote green growth and inclusive and green growth development. Our country also committed to remain carbon neutral in COP 2015 declaration. We have Bhutan Transport 2020 strategy, basically to use as far as possible green and clean energy in the years to come. So we have also good tax incentive actually for the purchase of electric and hybrid car. On the waste component, we have a waste flagship program, basically to actually promote circular kind of economy using waste as resources. We have environmental strategy 2020, so zero waste initiative, also bioplates cups production in place, and also with reduce plastic waste. Actually, we have a private sector initiative whereby the plastic waste are being used to pave the roads. On the energy front, I think the lighting and heating system in our country is more or less 100% electricity usage. And in some pockets, we also do use solar as a means of energy. On the agriculture front, we have a so-called agriculture flagship, basically to promote and also develop organic farming, and also encourage our farmers through various tax incentives, and also providing them high yield seeds and fertilizers actually to import to support import reductions. And we also have so-called flagship water flagship to protect our water resources. So intervention at the organization level, basically at APTO, because we are a tourism related entity, and we have also implemented a number of environmental friendly approaches, as well as also there are some programs in pipeline. So we are currently implementing so-called Bhutan Sustainable project focusing on sustainable tourism business promotion. So we have lots of activities, and we will be doing this one until 2023. Similarly, we have also implemented so-called low carbon destination project back then 2012 to 2016, basically to promote sustainable production and consumption practices. We also implemented so-called rural ecotourism product and services, basically is a kind of online platform whereby we have sold basically to showcase our rural ecotourism product and services as in a single window kind of platform. We have also implemented tourism information and management system. This is also another platform actually basically to automate tourist tour operators, offices, and also function using online technology. And one of the best kind of our interventions as well as our achievements was also back then to 2004, we have initiated visa online system. And now this system is being used by the government to process as well as issue tourist visa online. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much for presenting an overview of all the problems and how they are going to solve the challenges of climate change in Bhutan. Thank you very much. Yes, now I will play already recorded session. So just let me try again my technology. Thank you.
Attention University in Egypt and an Egyptian coordinator at the Global Sustainable Futures Network. Today, my presentation will focus on the climate change mitigation and resilience in the urban context. As we know about climate change uncertainty and how varied are the scenarios predicted in the future and how cities contribute to the impacts of climate change with more than 70% of greenhouse gas emissions. That's why we should focus on more mitigation and resilience for the urban context. Talking about buildings in specific, we have here research done in 2015 on residential units. And as we can see, the greenhouse gas emissions are concentrated in both construction and operation phases of the buildings, including the maintenance requirements. On building scale, we can mitigate climate change impacts through the efficient use of energy, through many practices, such as making a full use of daylighting, achieving air tightness for buildings to achieve insulation, and using heat recovery systems. For water, we can also seek alternatives for potable water in some practices in buildings and making an efficient use of potable water to reduce the energy wasted in the treatment and the associated greenhouse gas emissions. We can also talk about materials in terms of making it more durable with less maintenance requirements, sourcing it from bio-based or waste-based resources, or make it reusable, recyclable, or able to be recovered after the end of life of buildings through the deconstruction and disassembly of building materials and components. Talking about the transformability, we have here also the ideas of making buildings and spaces more functional through the dynamic design, and also the furniture can be multifunctional, and the building skin also can be dynamic to achieve multiple functions in terms of protection and achieving the user comfort indoors. This all practices can also contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions to mitigate climate change impacts. On the urban scale, we can talk about urban management and how the smart technologies and artificial intelligence can be utilized to achieve these practices, like the automation of zoning laws for optimum land uses, and also the optimization of building layouts, and creating urban dashboards that automatically deal with and optimize energy use and accordingly the greenhouse gas emissions produced. Also in energy management, we can also use smart technologies to have a real-time matching of supply and demand, monitoring and predicting the maintenance requirements for solar and wind power plants, forecasting the irradiance, and making virtual power plants more optimized in storage and in terms of the microgrids. For transportation also, smart technologies can make use of the autonomous on-demand vehicles and ride-sharing mobility, and also optimizing the navigation of autonomous electrical vehicles and detecting and managing congestions and traffic jams. For water management, we can use the smart technologies and artificial intelligence to detect the leakage in the water networks, and for real-time management of building utilities and self-adaptive filtration and managing of off-grid water networks. Also, for emissions and waste, we have the ability to use the smart technologies to forecast the air quality, to have a real-time detection of pollution sources indoors, and to improve the efficiency of supply chains and identify recyclable waste using neural networks. And as Ain Shams University and the Global Sustainable Futures Network promote the embedding of SDGs in education, I will present here one of the projects of the World Design Studio that tackled urban resilience to face climate change impacts in 2019. It was a graduation project in collaboration with universities from USA and China. And the case study was in Charleston, South Carolina in USA. And the project focused on the urban development of the coastal areas of the downtown of the city to make it more resilient to face sea level rise and the flooding caused by the high rates of precipitation in some seasons. This is the case now in the downtown area during the floods. For landscaping and urban design, the Egyptian team consisting of about 24 students of undergraduate level in architectural engineering proposed some solutions to these aspects of protection of the coastline and making it more resilient to high levels of water, either on the river banks or from the sea side. And we can see here the use of the barriers and movable fences to protect the shoreline. and also making solutions for the storage of the excess water and reusing it again in multiple functions, as we can see here in parking lots, under the playgrounds and along the walkways and the streets. Also making leveling solutions to be adaptable with the high sea level rise during the flooding period. On the neighborhood scale, we can see also these solutions done for the residential buildings. This is for the existing residential buildings, having solutions for protection and resilience, and also a new concept for the new development of residential areas based on making buildings floating during the flooding periods. For healthcare buildings in the city, making a raised platform for the ambulance for emergency cases during the flooding periods to access the general hospitals and specialized hospitals through the first floor instead of the ground floor level, and making some adaptations and adjustments in the first floor to include an emergency entrance and facilities in the hospitals. Also, in educational buildings, we have solutions for the playgrounds, for storage of water and making use of it for playing and other practices for education. And these also are solutions in commercial buildings to store the rainwater and make full use of it indoors and in the recreational areas around the buildings. Thank you. That's the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Ahmed. If you are listening to this, I'm really pleased that you sent a presentation and was on time. And I don't remember if I introduced Ahmed, so I will just introduce him. Hold on a second. So he Dr. Ahmed K. Ahmed was from Egypt. Okay, now we have Peter from Kenya, and he is speaking on climate change mitigation and sustainability in Kenya. So I welcome Peter to take the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Renuka, for the opportunity. Are you able to see my slide?
Yes, yes, we are able to see your slide and we can hear you properly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Peter Wangai. I'm from the Department of Environmental Studies and Community Development, Kenyatta University in Kenya. And just to introduce my topic, allow me to deviate a little bit from the others. I hope you can see what I'm holding. This is what I was doing during my free time in the office. I was making...
Peter,
yes?
I'm just sorry that I have a request from one of the speakers that they need to leave soon. So can we just take you after them? Is that okay?
Then that is okay.
Yeah, just thank you very much for accommodating the request. Sinead, are you here now? Sorry, no, sorry, Dr. Wolgam, are you here? Or has he already left?
I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, I am.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, please take your time to present this. And I think Peter has, I'm very thankful to Peter to accommodate you. Thank you. Sorry for being late as well, Professor. So,
No problem. Okay, so Peter, first of all, sorry to you to be stopped in your track. That's just started to be very interesting, but I'm very, very sorry, but I have another meeting in 10 minutes from now. What I want to talk about is just briefly about a concept which is called meaningful tourism. So when we talk about development and SDGs, of course, for many countries, especially least developed and less developed countries, tourism is very important. And so maybe just to introduce myself, so I'm the CEO of COTRI, which is China Outbound Tourism Research Institute. So my main topic has been Chinese outbound tourism, but I think now with the pandemic and the post-pandemic time, we will have to look at tourism also in a broader way. So actually, so meaningful tourism is supposed to be a new paradigm in tourism. So where we had sustainable and responsible tourism, I think we have to move forward. The need for a paradigm shift in global tourism existed before the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. The very success of international tourism, with 5 times the number of trips in 2019 compared to the year 1980, has made a mockery of the idea of hospitality and ran in many places a juggernaut over local culture, local nature, authentic experiences, diversity, serendipity, and thereby negatively impacting satisfaction levels for all stakeholders involved, the hosts, the guests, the local societies. The traditional view of tourism came to a limit of development, and the destructive social and environmental forces of tourism started to give it a bad name. So we were in 2019 at this tipping point where the image of tourism was moving from being a provider of joy, of jobs, of maybe even peace, towards an image of being a force of destruction and of pollution. Especially the growing number of non-Western tourists, Chinese, other, felt treated as second-class customers with compliance to notions of respect of hierarchy or dietary restrictions or other rules, all be seen as a deviation of the normal behavior of modern travelers as a sign of an immature market. So actually, if we look at tourism, the need for bodily relaxation, so for resting your limbs, is not the key purpose of tourism anymore. As the majority of people who can afford tourism, especially international tourism, spend their working time sitting in front of a computer, like we all do now, or in meetings, rather than working in a coal mine or in a factory or on a field. What they need to refresh is their brain, not their body so much. And what they want to achieve is self-actualization by new experiences and new inspirations, traveling to new places and meeting new people. So if you go back to the start of sustainable tourism and sustainability discussions, Edward Inskeep, back in 1991, 30 years ago, defined 5 main criteria for sustainable tourism, including economic, environmental, and social responsibility of tourism, but also its responsibility towards the tourists, so the visitor satisfaction, and towards global justice and equity. Unfortunately, in the discussion of sustainability, only the first 3 aspects were taken up in the prevailing concepts of sustainable tourism. So taking this into account, meaningful tourism changes the predominantly supply-side oriented and rather negative perspective of sustainable tourism and responsible tourism towards a demand-side oriented and more positive perspective, promoting tourism which is meaningful for all stakeholders involved. For the tourists to get new experiences and to learn about themselves and about other people. For the host communities to benefit instead of suffer from the visitors by being the main attraction, people, meetings, and by also gaining economically from tourism in a bigger way. For the staff of tourism and hospitality service providers to offer full-time career jobs, good quality service and meaningful activities also for them. Because in very many destinations, seasonality is very big and people have a job only for some months of the year. So if you change the way tourism is organized, this can be changed into full-time jobs. For governments, of course, to gain employment opportunities for their citizens, increase tax income, and the support of friendly international relations. And finally, last, certainly not least, for the environment and encouragement for all stakeholders to be more careful and more interested, causing no or at least less damage by feeling part of the community, part of the place they are visiting, and not just some Hollywood decoration they can do whatever they want with. So to finish, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here at short notice, the pandemic has shattered many traditional beliefs and certainties about what tourism is about and how to organize it. Never let a good crisis go to waste is an advice which was given by Niccolò Machiavelli and popularized by Churchill. So never let a good crisis go to waste. With the help of meaningful tourism strategy, a new and a better future of global tourism, especially in least developed and less developed countries in the post-pandemic era, can be started. So that is my little intervention, and I'm happy to say that on the 9th of October, there will be more opportunity to expand on this topic and also to provide you with an example of a practical way how to measure and how to support this kind of development. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I wish all of you a good day and stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Professor. And Professor is referring to our second monthly meeting where he's going to provide us with very extensive understanding about his concept and ideas and the project. So thank you very much. Have a lovely day. Thank you. So I will now welcome Peter again to share his screen, and please allow us to listen.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Renuka. I've already introduced myself. So what I was about to mention is that during my free time, I was busy becoming an artist, and I was just designing the 3 SDGs that I'm focusing on my topic. We have the cities, we have life on land, and then we have climate action. So, and allow me, because I took time to prepare this, just to wear it as I continue with my presentation. So now in the introduction, we realized that—
Peter, it is funny because you have a backdrop, your cap,
yes.
And we cannot see your cap, and we can see sometimes, but we cannot see always.
Okay, so no problem, I can remove it. So, yes. So in the introduction, what we are saying here is that the global climate crises are increasing, and this is witnessed in almost every part of this planet. We also realize that the transport industry, deforestation, urbanization, they are the key drivers of CO2 emissions. And again, we also realize that life on land becomes very important because terrestrial ecosystems account for about 13% of the total global CO2 emissions per year. And this is equivalent to an approximated 5.2 gigatons of carbon per year. Again, cities, SDG number 11, they contribute to about 78% of global CO2 emissions, which is so huge. And again, about a half of the global CO2 is stored in plants and soils. So having looked into those statistics, again, we have to look at the current, the 2021 IPCC report, which is showing a very promising curve of the carbon which is stored on land as increasing since 1975. And this is the average. So if we look at specific countries, especially in the developing countries, where people rely so much on fossil fuels and they rely so much on primary production, we realize that there is a lot of emissions that are associated with SDG number 15, as well as SDG number 11. So if you look at the targets here, especially now when we come to Kenya, because this is specific for Kenya, we see that there is a big issue about urbanization, which is in most of now the country is approaching rapid urbanization, and led by Nairobi, which is already having 4% rate of urbanization. We also see that there is a lot of there are a lot of challenges when it comes to land management, how people do their farming and how people do their animal husbandry, and also the issue of deforestation. So what are the targets that Kenya has put across is that Kenya wants to reduce CO2 emissions by 32% in Kenya by the year 2030. And this is also the year that we need to realize the SDGs. Again, Kenya is focusing so much on training and education on matters to do with the climate change and reducing emissions. And again, educating farmers and especially people who are dependent on the agro systems on how to improve their skills in land management and also city management to reduce emissions. So if you look at the potential of the potential of SDG number 11 and SDG number 15 to take up CO2 emissions and also to offset CO2 emissions, we see that cities, they play a very key role. And one of the role that they need to play is by ensuring that we reduce carbon footprint. How do we do this? We do this by making the cities inclusive, making the cities safe, resilient, and sustainable. And again, we also see that Kenya is also having a high potential of reducing CO2 emissions, whereby they want to increase carbon storage by forest and vegetations as well as soils. And to do this, Kenya has an ambitious plan of increasing the current forest cover of 7.8, around 7.5%, the total forest cover in Kenya, up to 10% forest cover. And the action that is behind this increase is that there is already a plan to ensure that we plant 1.8 billion seedlings by the year 2022. Again, the government has also worked around the clock to introduce a new public system of transport. And this is what we are referring in Kenya as bus rapid transport. And this is a project that has now is now being established in Nairobi. There is infrastructure now, and in the course of the year, we will have this bus rapid transport system functional. And this is just a case study because the government wants to roll out this bus rapid transport system to other cities in Kenya. So if we look at what now I'm proposing as ideas to make all these ambitious actions work for sustainability, I'm saying that if you look at land distribution in Kenya, you realize the majority of land is owned by private persons. And because of that, if we only focus on the public land for afforestation and reforestation, we may not realize the objective. And therefore, I suggest that we need to adopt a tree initiative whereby we involve smallholder farmers in planting trees on their farms. Secondly, we have seen that cities, they are generating over 70% of the global GDP. What if we have a percentage of this GDP directed to rural development, where we support and we finance reforestation and afforestation programs? Definitely we'll be able to offset CO2 emissions using that strategy. That I'm also proposing that we need to establish a cost-effective and reliable public transport. Of course, public transport is good and it is welcome, but we also need to make it cost-effective and reliable so that people don't again go back to the private means of transportation. We also need to accelerate the pace of public engagement in environmental education, so people, they understand why we need to reduce emissions. Why do we need to make our environment clean? So when people, they are aware of that, then there will be a behavior change and people will have collective responsibility. I'm also proposing that we need to embrace conservation agriculture and set a greening as as strategies that can help us to really bring emissions down. And finally, I'm also proposing that we really need to engage our youth in green jobs. And the reason for this is to ensure that the jobs that youths are engaging in, using their innovations and creativity, they have zero or minimal emissions when it comes to CO2. And thereby, adopting clean energy, and also jobs that are using clean energy to run and to operate. So these are my ideas that I'm proposing, given the statistics we have and the situation we have in Kenya. And I hope if these are adopted, then finally we'll be able to minimize, to mitigate climate change at the national level, and we'll be able to have sustainability in Kenya. Thank you so much. And number 5 refers to the references that I cited in this particular content. And for more information, you can contact me using the email that is down there in this poster. Thank you so much, Dr. Renuka.
Thank you so much, Peter. Absolutely perfect presentation about everything. And your drawing, I think you are improving, being more creative. Thank you. So yes, I will now invite Sinead to present her presentation. Sinead, are you ready?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see your slides.
Okay, very good. Okay, so hi, Climate Fringe audience. So I'm coming to you today from Galway City, representing An Bheithil Rothair at NUI Galway. So here we are on the map here. We're in the middle of the wild Atlantic Way, not that far from Glasgow. But I want to tell you about this amazing social and sustainable enterprise that's creating a circular economy in our community. So this is a story about a bike shop. So the idea to create a bike workshop on our beautiful campus started here in the heart of the city when the founder, Paul O'Connell, was a student at NUI Galway. So he was involved in the Ecological Society, and they wanted to establish an autonomous space where students could come and repair their bicycles in a fun environment, which encouraged peer-to-peer learning, civic and environmental responsibility, and it empowered people in their own abilities. So he won this competition. I Have a Dream that kickstarted the whole thing. So there was a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, excitement, long hours, hard graft, a few million meetings with key stakeholders. And since then they've grown and they've developed community employment programs. There's been many steps along the way to get here, but where we are today, but we're hurtling towards the circular future. So if you're wondering if it's a strange name, so just to say where it comes from. So Mehel is the Irish word for a work team, a gang, or a party that donates the cooperative labour system in Ireland, where kind of historically groups of neighbours would help each other in turn with farming work, such as harvesting crops, and neighbours who give their work to others are helped in turn with their own heavy seasonal tasks. So the heart of this concept is community unity through cooperative work and mutually reciprocal support. So Mehel is the Irish expression of the ancient and universal appliance of cooperation and social need. And the word Ruthar, it means bike in Irish as well. So Untitled Ruthar that's where the name comes from. So I mentioned circular future. So what is that? So the current model of our economy is that we take stuff from the earth, we make stuff, and then we throw it away. So this has led to environmental degradation, and it's an endangerment to the world's future development and survival. So continuing on this linear economy would require at least 3 planet Earths to sustain the current population, which is kind of unrealistic. So reducing waste in whatever way we can and consumption is a priority. So one way for us to tackle this problem to embrace a more circular economy. So this model aims to eliminate the inefficiencies that are inherent in a traditional linear model of take, make, and waste, where the biological and technical materials are often kind of smushed together, not the technical term, but doing this makes it really hard to find future uses for these resources. So the circular economy then is based on 3 principles. So designing out waste and pollution, keeping products and materials in use for as long as possible, and regenerating natural systems. So this is what we're trying to do at Untitled Ruthar, and the Recycle Your Cycle program has been going since about 2018, and since then 215 bikes have been upcycled and sold, 10 bike mechanics have been trained, 2,580 kilograms of metal has been saved, and over 27,000 kilos of carbon emissions have also been saved. And while doing that as well, 3,000 community members have been supported to fix their own bikes, so supporting sustainable transport. 35 volunteer mechanics have been trained to teach community members, and 10 TUS participants have been trained to upcycle their bikes. So that's like a community employment program as well. Another thing that Untitled Ruthar is doing as well, they're providing bikes for the University of Sanctuary. So these are students who get scholarships to come to university who are seeking asylum and are living in direct provision centres. So last year, the bike shop provided 10 upcycled bikes and accessories to the students that were in this programme. And they also provided some online workshops in cycle safety and basic cycle maintenance. So in general, the Untitled Ruthar is operationalizing the circular economy in the community. So it's reducing waste and emissions, it's teaching circular economy skills, which is really critical. It's providing affordable, active transport, and it's also connecting communities. So bikes are repaired and returned to useful life instead of being shipped offshore for recycling. It's an inclusive space and it connects the communities together. It repairs bikes for approximately 50% of the cost of buying something new, and trainees learn cycle and mechanic skills. So I think that's my 5 minutes up for thank you. So check us out at bikeworkshops.ie. Thanks a million.
Perfect, Sinead, perfect. Wonderful. And a very real project, a real world project. Interesting, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I will share my screen for, let me see who we have. Edward Darling from United Kingdom, and he is speaking on connecting knowledge and activity to sustain life for today's generation and tomorrow. So Edward, are you ready?
Yeah, thank you, Renuka, and hopefully if you share your screen.
Yes, I will share. Hold on. So here you are.
Yeah, that's us. Way to go.
You can start speaking.
Let's just go for this because I'm.
Do you not want your camera on?
No, you just keep pressing the slides.
All right, I will do that.
And
okay.
We'll finish in 5 minutes.
Sure. Do you want to speak the topic?
Yep, we're just delighted to be here today, sharing with some incredible stories that and the work that your amazing people are doing around the world to try and make the world a better place. And so the work we're talking about is connecting knowledge and activity. So if we can just work through those, very pleased to be part of the Global Sustainable Futures Network. So we need to connect knowledge and activity to sustain life, and by sharing information and doing it in a format that can also collate action. And we sustain life by addressing 16 components that sustain life aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals. We found that a lot of people were interested in sustaining life. Not very many people knew about sustainable development or global goals. And so we looked at how these components have evolved. 8 of the components are people-based, and how society is involved around governance, finance, health, education, occupation, and more recently, gender equality and equalities of opportunity, and more recently, climate. And with the land-based activities, we've progressed from an interest in marine life, life on land, clean water, food, then requiring clean energy, housing, industry, and more recently, we've just started consuming an enormous amount, and that's created waste. The 16 components that sustain life, they all connect, and the different goals have been written as individuals, but by showing how these all have evolved through land use and society, they show that they connect to give a circular economy and also a circular society, which are often looked at separately. And these enable us to provide the basis for environment, product, and service and humanities reporting, rather than the ESG that a lot of discussion is going around at the moment. But it links all of these elements together, and within the environment pillar, this covers the areas of climate, marine life, life on land, and clean water, many of subjects which you've spoken about already today. By connecting knowledge and activity, we need to share information, and we do that by making macro data sets accessible, understandable, and usable. And so we use a thing called the Life Map, and we have a program that uses grid squares around the world, but we've been testing it in England, and it allocates cities, towns, and other settlements into a standard format. And this format is based on time. If we could just get that next slide in there. Yep, so the standard format is based on time, and it's replicable and scalable. The key thing about using these micro data sets focused around the 16 components that sustain life, and that by doing that, we're effectively democratizing data, and it presents macro data sets so they're accessible, understandable, and usable. And if we can do that, we've got the opportunity then to collate actions, and we can do that by using the Life Map to provide reporting that is credible, consistent, and comprehensive. And we're able to present macro data sets, and we've been able to get formal endorsement by science and government, which is really important because without that, it's impossible to get credible and consistent and comprehensive reporting and disclosure, not just for businesses and government, but for all of us in the education sector as well, to make sure there is a consistent standard that draws the different systems together so they all connect. Life Map protects the identity and location of individuals submitting data. And we found that to be hugely important because there have been some great things that people have been doing, but not everybody wants that put into the public domain with the location and the identity there. And by screening that information, people have been willingly submitting data around the different components that sustain life. And that enables us to collate the individual data, starting to show collective performance at local, national, and global levels. And by doing that, by connecting knowledge and activity about climate and about sustaining life, we have a chance to ensure that there is a global sustainable future for today's generations and tomorrow's. And this, just to add beyond that slide, this democratization of data, it gives the opportunity to show things like where air quality is and where different levels of ammonia appear. It gives an opportunity to show areas of water availability and drought so that different stakeholders can all understand. And the comment earlier about communication being a two-way process is so true. And the ability to look at freshwater quality and its impact on marine life, water management, CO2 management, and all of those other elements that sustain life, slowly building an understanding so that we can actually all individually and collectively take responsibility for our future. So thank you very much for allowing me to share that with you today.
Thank you very much. Very patiently, you have said your concept, and I think I have also signed up to this life map, land map, which was really interesting to me. Thank you very much. So if you want to put your, I think, what do you say, your website here in the chat, it would be useful for people to go and see. Thank you. So now we have Jose from Brazil. We have early morning in Brazil, not early morning, but it is morning in Brazil, and he has been traveling, but he has made promise to present here. So I welcome Jose. Jose, can you hear me? Jose, are you there? Maybe he has disappeared for some minutes. We can catch up later as soon as he comes. Now we have, yes, you are ready. And we do have Jonathan Harris. Yes.
Thank you.
So do you want me to play your slides, or are you?
I can do it from here if you can see that, okay?
Perfect. Yes, we can see, but you need to put it on a slideshow.
Will do. Yes, I will do that. Thank you, everybody. It's great to be here. I will put it on a slide, so just in a second when something disappears. I'm Jonathan from in England. The Premier Academy is a school I teach in, which is a junior school about an hour north of London. Okay, in Milton Keynes. Okay, and I've been looking at integrating education for sustainability into arts education.
Jonathan, can I
yes.
tell that it is not on slideshow?
Yes, I was just about to press that one. Okay, thank you. I teach music and I am heavily involved in arts education in general. So looking at how can arts education contribute to education for sustainable development, and looking at integrating education for sustainable development into the curriculum in England and in other countries as well, linked to the sort of key drivers in making education fit for the 21st century. So we're looking at creating a sustainable future. Okay, so it all links, obviously, as you know, to the Sustainable Development Goals, and trying to embed this into every aspect of the curriculum. Okay, so one of the quality education target, I just wanted to emphasize that education for sustainable development, as it says in the middle there, is looking at sustainable lifestyles, but also it's not just about climate change. It includes human rights, gender equality, developing peace, collaboration, global citizenship, and so forth. So there were plenty of aspects of that I feel can be integrated into all aspects of education, but arts is what I'm particularly interested in, and that's what I'm trying to explore and develop. One of the programs, some examples of good practice, we're involved in the British Council Connecting Classrooms program. So we link our school with other schools. We have a link with a school in Kolkata in India and in Palestine as well. So for example, the children in Palestine have learned a song that I wrote, which is in English, and the children at my school learned a song that the Palestinian children suggested, which is in Arabic, and we shared that song with each other over Skype. The children over there were in their playground, and we were in the classroom, and that was great fun. The children in Kolkata have told us about not only about musical aspects of traditional Indian instruments, for example, but also about their culture and their daily life. And the children in my school have shared the sorts of things we do here and shared songs and so forth that we sing. Similarly, the Palestinian school, they were looking at the same time they were collecting money for like equivalent of a food bank. We were doing exactly the same in the UK. I'm also heavily involved with the Global Science Opera project, which involves over 35 countries in the world, creating working together collaboratively to create an opera performed by children across the world. So I've written songs for this, and the children at my school have worked with, for example, children in Australia, children in Chile, children and people in the USA and all around the world, putting together an opera that's performed on a sustainable theme. This year is on the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. So in November, there will be a performance of an opera that's been created all about ecosystems. So the children learn not only about ecosystems, but also get to work collaboratively about this. We also run in our school Arts Award program, which focuses on lots of these aspects, such as making children globally aware, looking at the key skills that children need to be global citizens, such as collaborative work, communication, creativity, and so forth. And there's a big impact on that. I'm going to whiz through these slides. Sorry, that's not much time to read that. So what we're looking at, rather than having education for sustainable development as a separate subject in school, to have, like here, but to have it at the heart of the curriculum, so that it's impacting on everything, including arts education, which is what I'm involved with. And finally, a recommendation for people that are interested in this. There are several things listed here, such as drama groups that are eco-friendly drama groups. Some things I've mentioned, there's an Open University course I did last year, which links to what I've just been talking about, really, and lots of great places that do amazing work. Learning for Sustainability Scotland has some fantastic ideas and resources there, and also reading to do with this. There's not much written about linking arts with sustainable development, and I'm hoping that possibly one day I might be able to do this myself, but this is an area I'm trying to explore. I have written a few blogs and so forth about this in recent times. It's something I'm looking into to research further, and if people have ideas of how this could come about, or examples around the world of how arts education can support education for sustainable development, feel free to get in touch, because it's something I'd like to explore over the next sort of couple of years, really, at least. And that is the end of my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. I believe you are right, speaking the right thing, that we need to integrate SDGs in all our activities, and especially in art. I think we are still a bit premature in how to connect that in art. Yes. So thank you very much. I have few people who are interested in doing some books and cartoons for the books, and maybe you can connect with them to see how you can do any progress. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me see whom we have now. Finally, we have Fatima, who is from Nigeria and will be speaking on mobilizing financial resources for climate change adaptation and strategy. And so nicely, this talk has been situated at the end of this session, because we have been looking at the solutions and problems and solutions, but especially all solutions need finance. And I think we will have some understanding from Fatima. So Fatima, are you ready to take the floor? Jose, I saw you now, but we are inviting Fatima. But if you are ready, I can ask Fatima to wait for a while. And would you like to present, Jose?
Hi there, everyone. Good morning. Can you listen?
Yes, we can listen to you.
Yes, I have a small problem here with both notebooks, and I will try to make this presentation to a third backup source.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Warm greetings and good morning to everyone. I will try to share my screen. Thank you very much for conducting this extraordinary gathering of minds today, Dr. Renewable, as always. Let me rush a little bit here because I just arrived at a 10-hour bus trip from Rio de Janeiro to the city of Belo Horizonte. And I will try here too. Let's see. I try to share my screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not
Are you able?
It should appear. Not yet. Not yet.
Oh. Let's see.
No.
No. Can you see it?
No, I can't yet.
Wow.
Do you have something to send me over, or?
I have already sent, but I will try to make it. Let me try to share it again at Zoom.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I have to authorize a permission here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now because I can see you, but I'm trying to do it as fast as possible.
Yeah, if I see, I will let you know. Don't worry.
And now?
No, we can. But if you want to continue without sharing, maybe you can speak what you have today. Yeah, it is sharing. Hold on now.
Okay.
But it has shared. Okay, yes. Now we can see your screen. Perfect. Carry on.
Okay.
Now.
Okay,
yes.
so I cannot see you guys, but I'm sending you my warm greeting here from Belo Horizonte in Brazil. As you probably see, I'm dressed on an appropriate way, colorful, wearing yellow, and also with a hat that makes me the true Joe Carioca. So it is a warm greeting from Rio de Janeiro, from the state of Minas Gerais and the city of Belo Horizonte, where I'm in, and of course from Brazil and Latin America. Well, I would try to make a very fast presentation because it is really a part of what I have been working on my research in the past 5 years. I'm trying to connect the dots and skip all the impact that we had with education here that was boosted with the, of course, COVID-19 pandemic, not only in Brazil and Latin America, but in every place in the world. So we are in this climate fringe 2021. I'm trying to make a fast track in innovating for sustainable futures, education to improve human behavior. And this is me, you already know, and I was very nicely introduced by Dr. Renuka. And as a matter of fact, I have used it using this image because I consider this one of probably the strongest pictures and image that we have. That is the planet Earth, our Mother Earth, wearing a face mask, just like telling to everyone that future has arrived, bringing strong impact with the global society, because we are living and experiencing what went real in the month of February 16 in the year 2020. In a small city called Bhutan in China, the beginning of this COVID-19 pandemic that put, according to UNESCO, 1.5 billion students outside the classroom around the globe. And more than that, I was also concerned with our perspective to educate through complexities, not only the complexities that we will have to face that are a deep and sound reflection of the impacts of this COVID-19 pandemic around the globe, but with these especially multi-generational human behavior that we have to deal with. I am, for those that cannot see on an appropriate way with a problem of in the vision, I'm seeing a picture of an old person, an elder person, wondering what to do with a notebook, a laptop, a MacBook, and also at the side of a child, of an early child, wondering what to do with the typewriting machine. So this is what's happening, what I call profiles merging with the traditional experience that we have, because we are moving from an analogic world to a digital world. And education is not exception. On contrary, we have been hugely affected by the technology of information and the digital world. So we have all these letters, baby boomers, X, Y, Z, millennials, digital natives generations gathering together at the same workplace and the same learning places. Sorry, let me see here. Okay, well, these complexities and dots to connect, they are trying to make, to grab the best of every one of us. And the learning education, young people, labor in times of global crisis, the ongoing effects of COVID-19 pandemic, they are emerging through a triple impact, especially affecting the young generations. They lose the opportunity to gain expertise of a vibrant time in their lives. They face more difficulties with less rewards, of course. There is a huge downgrade of scholarship offers if we can talk about education dimension, but lower wages if we are talking about the new labor world, payments, and even worse, that is the key question I do believe we have to face. They risk affecting their productive capacities of the next years of their professional lives. And education impacts amidst inequality is the new order. We have an emerging clash. I brought here some numbers of the research I have been doing in the past 2-3 years. Only 70% of education networks declared to have completed the academic 2020 year. 5.5 million students in Brazil had no or limited access to school activities. I have a 4 years kid, called John Lucas here, And since the pandemic began, he is outside of the school. So as a teacher, as a professor, of course, of, let's say, taller children, because I teach in the university, I'm trying to do my best to help Jean Lucas at 4 years old, but the loss is incredible. About 80%, 78.6% was the degree of difficulty in accessing the internet registered by the student networks. Sorry, let's try to do this. So we have these education impacts amidst inequality, also with over 137 million children and adolescents left without school activities in Latin America and Caribbean region. If we only count Brazil, about 4 million elementary school students, they have no access to any school activity, just like John Lucas, my 4-year boy. So, and what is tarnished 4 years. This is what education can set back in Brazil, a particular, in the particular case of Brazil, due to the pandemic. And while worldwide and the richer and wealthy economies, the average is 3 to 9 months. So we are undoubtedly suffering more because as much unequal we are in our countries, more we will have to deal with this after pandemic education clash. In the pandemic, when we talk about post-secondary or higher education, over 600,000 students have interrupted courses in private higher education. Delinquency has reached about 20% this May 2021. Private education had a drop of 9% in enrollment in this first semester here in Brazil. And worse, the number of students interested in enrolling in higher education dropped. From November 2020, last year, the intention to graduate in the system was about 1/3, 33%, and now it's just 14%. It is really a mess. And if we take into consideration distance learning, the interest dropped from 46% to 38%. So no matter if we are have the possibility to access online and distance courses, we have a major problem with the education being generated that we will have to face on a more appropriate and conscious base in the next year, 2022. So, innovative for sustainable futures equals moving forward in education through SDGs. So we used to move forward and connect the dots between the proven sustainable frameworks. There are a lot of sustainable frameworks to accomplish 5 R's, conscious consumption, zero waste, net zero, etc., to improve learning and highlight the education role in post-pandemic, what I call multi-generational societies that we are living in. So I have prepared a full presentation. I will send it to you via link later when I discuss further about some possible technology and learning methodologies that we are trying to put in place here that have been developed. We are in the process of develop by Exponentialis. As you know, I'm founder and I am also the CEO of Exponentialis, that is a learning and a transformative education 4.0 platform. So these are my contacts again. I believe most of you do really already have it, but I'm putting again, and I'm really available to talk a little bit further about this and to connect the dots also with the reality in your countries. I can talk a little bit more about the Brazilian reality and this clash that we are facing here in terms of learning and education. And of course, you have a brighter perspective from the countries you are living in. So we can connect our dots also through this brilliant network that is headed by our quintessential leader, Dr. Renuka Thakor, and talk further about this, because this is of a major importance. We are talking about sustainable development goals, and education is really, really, really our urgent need. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. I will try now to go back, and I will try to disconnect the presentation here, and come back with, of course, as a joke, Carioca. Thank you.
Thank you very
again.
much. Please wear your cap and I can have a photo of you. There you go. Thank you. Let me have your photo. I don't know why it's not working. Just let me see if it is working. Yes, I have picked it up. So thank you very much. I will send you later. Hello, Fatima. Are you here now? Fatima, can you connect? She has already mentioned that she's having a poor connection. So probably we will miss her, but if she comes, we can allow her to talk. And so now I think we have the final session, and I will invite Matt for his innovative app.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes, please introduce yourself and carry on.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody, depending on where you are in the world. It's lovely to virtually meet you all, and I hope you've all enjoyed the session so far. I know I have. We've seen some amazing speakers. We've heard about some really interesting projects, and I'm sure we're all feeling suitably inspired. So for this last segment, we're going to turn that inspiration into ideas around what we can do, both individually and collectively, to work towards a sustainable future. I work as head of engagement for Axis. Axis is an inclusive collaboration technology that is determined to tackle the big issues we all face. And today we're going to use it to run a very short workshop to take the pulse of you, the network, to see what you feel are the most important actions we can all take individually and collectively to mitigate the climate crisis. So at this point, I'm just going to share my screen, and I've had some bandwidth issues, so I'm going to go camera off while I share. Please bear with me. Okay, and if you can let me know when you see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Excellent.
And what we have to do, we have to.
Wonderful. So basically, this is the front page. So Axis allows participants to join any workshop or meeting session using their smartphone, or if you haven't got a smartphone, your internet-enabled device. And basically, what it's going to do is it's going to turn your smartphone into a bunch of digital post-it notes. As you can see, there are a number of ways that you can access and join the workshop. So there's a QR code, there's a URL, and there's a link. So if you'd all just like to jump on using one of those methods, when you jump on and join, you'll be asked to give your name, to confirm you're not a robot, and to tick the boxes for privacy policy and to remaining logged in. If you'd rather not use your own name, please feel free to, oh, sorry about that. What's happened there? I've timed out.
It says facilitator exceeded connection time.
Yeah, I've just jumped back in, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically you confirm you're not a robot, you tick the boxes for privacy and to remain logged in. And as I said, if you'd rather not use your own name, you can use a pseudonym. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to take this link and I'm going to put that in our chat as well. Bear with me just 1 second while I do that. There we go. So the link is now in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Once you've successfully signed in, you'll see a welcome page. I've also put the link in the chat for people to access there as well. So if for any reason, when you're on board, you drop off, if you go into the chat and you click on the link, you'll be able to rejoin where you left off in the workshop. So I'll just give everyone a few moments to sign in. and get on board. And if you see on the left-hand side, as people sign in, their names will appear. So just a little bit of a background while everybody's signing on. So Axis is basically designed to be a really, really easy to use facilitation tool that uses principles from design thinking, agile delivery, and the latest thinking and research in collaboration. And we break collaboration down into 5 distinct phases. So for today's workshop, we're going to keep it really, really simple, and we're only going to actually use 2 of those phases. I'm just going to give people another 30 seconds to jump on board. Then once we've got a few people on, we can start. If people are still in the process of signing on, as I said, they can go in the chat, they can click on the link, and they can sign on from there.
Very interesting. So while we are waiting, Matt, we think this is very useful if we want to collaborate on an idea or something from around the world, isn't it? Because anyone will be on the screen, it appears, and so people can take part from any part of the world.
Absolutely. And embedded in the system, we basically work with a lot of very big consultancy firms as our first clients. And we've embedded all the latest thinking and all the latest methodologies in best ways to collaborate and best ways to facilitate. And it's already there waiting for you. So all you have to do is click on each element and you can build a really complex workshop, training session or meeting in the space of about 10, 15 minutes. It's really, really quick.
And it doesn't ask you for any gender or anything. And that is the main important thing about the level of your work experience or gender while you are putting your inputs, isn't it?
Absolutely. And we don't retain any information at all. So we can't track back any information at the sign-on information to an individual. And that's why we have been heavily used in the diversity and inclusion space. We've actually received a couple of bits of funding from Innovate UK, a government department, to work on how to make collaboration, which essentially is quite broken in the business world, especially now we've gone virtual, more diverse and more inclusive. So we've used that funding to go out and find 5 different organizations that work in different angles of diversity and inclusion. And we've partnered with them and we've released a series of free templated workshops. So any organization, any charity, any academic organization, any individual, or even if you're a multinational, you can use our software and those templated workshops for free to supercharge your diversity and inclusion agenda. And we are doing a similar thing now with sustainability. And we're about to launch a webinar series featuring a number of different sustainability experts talking about different issues around sustainability. And Dr. Thakur is very kindly agreed to be one of them. So I think now most people have signed on into the workshop.
Only one question, Matt, as we move forward. Do you have this app in any other language or any other interface? Or is it applicable to all the interfaces?
It is. So we're building it with other languages. We have with clients designed it for, because we've got a multilingual team. So we designed it specifically for Spanish, for French, and someone's asked us to do it for Chinese. So we can do, but in our new iteration, we will have various different languages embedded in there that you can set it to. So yeah. So I think most signed on now. So I'm going to move to the next phase. As I said, if anybody's still signing on, if you want to just go to the chat section, you can see the sign on there. So today's session, we're going to ask you a simple question based on all the speakers we've seen today and based on what we've been talking about. And the question is, what are your ideas for innovation and improved collaboration around climate action leading to sustainable futures? And as I said, hopefully our speakers today would have inspired us with lots of ideas. So now the session's going to be in just 2 parts. We kept it really simple because we're short on time. Firstly, we're going to be asking you to give us your ideas on what you feel the best ways are based on your experience, based on what you've heard and based on what you think, both individually and collectively, of mitigating the climate crisis. And then in the second section, we're going to ask you to vote on what collectively think the top ideas are. And you'll each be given 10 votes in total, and you can distribute them as you see fit. So now we're moving into the first part of the exercise. So if you look at your device, it will be asking you for ideas around what you see are the best ways forward for mitigating the climate crisis. And it also asks for a brief description. Once you put an idea in and press submit, it will be anonymized and it will appear on everyone's device. So you can see all the group's input as you go. You can put as many ideas in as you like using the submit button. And then once you think you've finished, you can click I'm done. So I'll give everyone a few moments just to think of those ideas and to put their input in. So while you're doing that, I'll just talk in the background to fill the space. So a bit about Axis. Now, obviously, this workshop is very quick and simple and easy and only uses a fraction of Axis's potential. So our design thinking framework makes it really easy. The idea is it's just a really simple everyman tool for anyone to be an awesome facilitator. And Axis was designed to mitigate all the problems that affect collaboration related to group dynamics. So we've all been there and we all know it. So 20% of the people end up doing 90% of the talking in any session, and they're usually the wrong 20%. So the quiet expert in the room gets missed. Introverts don't feel comfortable chipping in. Women and minority groups often get talked over or ignored. Everybody starts following the boss and hierarchy kicks in, and everybody starts trying to put ideas up that are similar to everybody else's. So you get negative groupthink. So it's for these reasons that the Harvard Business Review estimates that a whopping 71% of collaboration sessions in business are basically pointless and ineffective. So our anonymous input, our polls and our anonymous voting mean that you get real, genuine freedom of thought and freedom of innovation. And as the ideas get put in, you should be seeing them appearing on your device as you go. I'll just give us another 60 seconds to finalize those ideas. I see some people have already clicked I'm done. In our next version, we're also going to you can download your own playlist. So rather than have a silent moment, you can play your favorite tune. So you can try Mozart or the countdown tune or whatever you think is relevant.
Actually, I muted to just speak my answers in it. So you can use that speaker as well to input, because I'm very poor on writing.
I mean, that's why we designed it primarily for use with smartphones, because everybody's very used to their smartphone and the functionality, and it comes with a lot of functionality, which means that people can put an enormous amount of information in quite quickly, and a lot more than in traditional workshops. So we did, one of our biggest clients is Accenture. They use us for all of their account planning, their D&I work, some of their sustainability stuff, and their senior teams use us. And we did research project with the teams that were using us and teams that weren't. And we found that the teams that used us generated 8 times more words per idea and about 5 times more ideas. So you generate a lot more really substantive content. And because of the collaborative decision-making, you also then make that content very sticky and very aligned with everybody's view. So people are still putting their information in. I'm going to move to the next step, but you can still put your information in as you go. This step here, you can see all the ideas the group's generated, and obviously there's some really good ideas there. Now, normally what we would do if we had time is we'd discuss and we'd review at this section, but due to the time constraints we have today, we're just going to move swiftly on. However, Axis allows you to export all of the data from any workshop. So at the end of this session, I'll share that export with the group and you can see everybody's input and everybody's votes. So I'm going to move to the next phase, and we're going to go to the dot voting exercise. Now we're going to move on to the dot voting. Each of you has been assigned 10 votes in total. If you look at your device, it will show you the ideas in turn. If you take a look at all the ideas first before you decide to vote and decide what ones you prefer. So you might have 2 ideas you really like and you'll give them 5 and 5, or you might want to spread your votes and give 1 idea to 10 different ones, one vote to 10 different ones. So as you go through, if you see an idea and you don't want to vote on that one, you click next, it will go to the next one in line. And every time you press the next button, it will go to the next idea. And then once you've used your 10 votes, you can press I'm done. If you want to change your mind after you've done it, you can use the previous button to scroll back up to an idea and give it more or less votes. And when you're done, click the I'm done button. And I'll give everyone a couple of minutes to do that. While you're voting on your top ideas, just to note, I will be putting my contact details in the chat with the link to our free version, if you'd like to have a look around the platform. The free version allows you to have up to 3 users on a session. So it's good for small teams and it allows you to get used to the system. It doesn't come with all the full functionality, but it does give you a good idea. And if anybody wanted to have a full version, because I work closely with Dr. Thakur, I would give an extended trial version to anyone to give it a go. And especially if you've got a use case coming up you'd like to trial it with, we also give free consultancy. And if you need us to, we will come in and we'll also facilitate sessions for free with you. Just to give you an idea of the sort of use cases that Axis gets used for. So we have helped a South London school come up with their literacy policy. We've worked with a number of different public sector organisations, one in Lambeth to help them with the child protection policy and strategy, and one in Haringey with their regen team in their main senior management meetings. We've also worked with lots of large consultancy firms, so a lot of the top 100 consultancy firms use us, and we work a lot with environmental organisations, environmental consultancies, and also with diversity and inclusion organisations, both enterprise and specific. Awesome, we're nearly all voted. That's great. So you notice as people have clicked the I'm done, the large green tick appears. So the facilitator knows that they're done. In our next version, which is going to be released in a few weeks, we have the option of getting rid of this. So if you're working with a sensitive subject, you might not want the pressure of completing your vote. So if people don't want to contribute and they don't want people to see they haven't contributed, we will have the option of hiding this section. If anybody's dropped off, their device has dropped them off, if you just go in the chat and you click on the link, you will be straight back in where you left off in the workshop. So it's very hard to...
Ravaturu Turo is saying that voting has failed on my part. I think it could be if you have voted more than 10 or something like that. So you can...
You probably exceeded the number of votes. So,
yeah.
So yeah, if you just maybe take one vote off, you've probably gone to 11.
Incidentally, I did not vote. My screen went off, the one that would have those options.
Okay, no problem, no problem. So we'll just wait on Jeffrey and then we'll move on to the next phase. And then we'll see if we've got a clear winner. There we go, brilliant. So we move to the next phase. Okay, so now what you see is all of the collective networks votes on what is the most important and most needed one. Promote solar panels, a whopping 11 votes there. Nature-based solutions for buildings, also a big one. And we've got quite a lot of sixes: commuting by bikes, community organizations, reducing carbon emissions, collective actions, and individual carbon footprints. Wonderful, brilliant. So basically, that was just a quick snapshot of your thoughts on the best way forward to create a more sustainable future. I'm now going to just go through to the next phase, and I'm going to tell the software I've completed the workshop, and I will export that data. And that data I will now share with the group. That's giving you a sort of a whistle-stop tour of how Axis works. Thank you for listening. And if you have any feedback or questions, as I said, I'm going to put my contact details in the chat, and I will also share that data. I guess it's over to you, Dr. Thakur.
Thank you very much, Matt. I think it is very useful when you look at the points allotted. Initially, it can be all first time if it is used. I think it can be used for a brainstorming session to pull up the ideas, and could be like about 20, 25 or 30 ideas. And then it can be run again with that specific, keeping in mind that they have to use only those options. And following the same process, but voting only for those options which have been selected from the first session, then that would focus more on what we want to have. And then probably on the second round, the third round, we can have the best of options and can work towards the strategy of achieving that. Is that what you would think, or is it only for the first time we have to understand that these are the options?
Oh, absolutely. So the great thing about the system is you get an output that you can use. You can then feed that back into another session, and you can constantly keep developing an idea set. So that is one of the sort of top USPs that we have.
I think I have worked on SPSS, and principal component analysis also do something like this, where they identify few variables which are of importance, and we can put it in one component. So for example, here which we had the variables with all the 6 points, they can go in one category of saying that yes, community work, community action, and being part of community is so much important here. Whilst we should have solar energy and other nature-based solutions, but working with the community is very, very important. Okay, I think that's all. And if anyone want to speak or suggest anything, please feel free to speak. No. Fatima, are you able to share your talk at all?
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, if you can.
So I'll be sharing my screen now.
Yes.
Give me a few seconds, please.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. I hope I'm sharing right now.
Yes, you are. We can see your screen, just that you can put it on slideshow, please.
Okay. Well, I don't have much. Okay, let me just introduce myself. My name is Fatima Adesanya. I'm a child accountant. I'm speaking from Nigeria. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you, but I think because of slow internet, it is not putting it on slideshow. Like,
okay,
able to put on slideshow, but that's okay. You can continue speaking now while you are doing that.
Okay, so I said my name is Fatima Adesanya. I'm a child accountant and I'll be speaking from Nigeria. I work as a finance manager in a food processing company here in Nigeria. But my presentation will not take long as scheduled in the timetable. I'm aware that it should be talked just for 5 minutes, and I just want to comply with the rules on ground. So I will just say that this is my style. I'll be talking about mobilizing financial resources for climate change. And my presentation is about towards a transformative climate finance strategy. Yeah, it is less than 100 days from COP26 with the ambition to limit rise in global temperature to 1.5 degrees. And about 95% of the international public climate finance are provided by multilateral and bilateral development financial institutions. But that isn't enough to meet the Paris climate goals by 2050. So this is the time to call on public-private partnerships to invest in climate finance through policy-based finance, equity finance, and guarantees. So definitely, it is no longer a question of the commercial viability of the renewable technologies anymore. It is clear that the solar energy, the wind panel are now much more profitable and viable investments than fossil fuel or coal energy. But the question is, how much finance has this got in recent times? Like I said earlier, 95% of what is being invested in these technologies are provided by grants and multinational institutions, and which is less than 4% of what is required for the transformation of climate finance strategies by 2030 and even beyond. Now, the question goes to, what do we invest in to make this transformation climate finance viable? Because it has been observed that most of the financing instruments for climate change are not usually tailored to climate change policies and needs. It's now time for a deliberate effort to ensure that the policies rolled out for financing is targeted towards transforming what the government of each country and globally as a whole believes to change the infrastructure investment of climate change. Now we'll be looking at what do we need to bring about this transformation. What we need is to scale down the infrastructure, the structure of the investment in infrastructure in up to fossil fuel, to scale up the infrastructure to about 30% in renewable technologies. I want to also address the fact that it is not expensive to invest in renewable technology, not more expensive than fossil fuel. It's just a matter of policy change to address these issues. And finance must flow where it is needed most by improving policy, addressing innovative technologies such as introducing early warning technologies, vulnerability maps, monitoring, reporting, and verification technologies, and even physical and transitional risk assessment tools towards climate change. There should be deliberate efforts, not just by the public, but also by private investment to invest in all these tools. Also, we have to invest, it doesn't really matter whether it has to do with scientific tools. we can also divert investment of climate financing to welfare losses that brings about this change in policy. Apparently, the business model will change from business as usual to a clean investment technology, which might result in job losses for some clients. And the climate finance can address this issue by investing so much in welfareism of employees that have lost their jobs. To this end, I would say that the finance must flow where it is needed most by improving policy, de-risking investment, and building resilient frameworks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Can you stop sharing the slides? Thank you. It was short and focused. Thank you. So now I will conclude with few slides, which I want to make few announcements. So just hold on with me as I share my screen.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me? Okay. So finally, I want to thank you everyone with all these inputs for this event. And I'm very grateful for every speaker to spend so much time here and your presentation. So I would like to make an announcement that there is a topical collection, the role of education in the implementation of UN Sustainable Development Goals, and how sustainability education influences consumption and production systems and contributes to achieving sustainable development goals. This call is open and the submission deadline is 31st March 2020, and guest editors are myself and Dr. Kushal Adhikari, Dr. Isa Alegbade, Dr. Jose Yusen, and Dr. Mavis Ali and Dr. Eva Duda. So we are editors for this call, and so if you wish to contribute to this call, please approach me and I will make arrangements. We have special, subsidiary for people. So please approach me at the first instant to see whether it will cost you or not. And we'll try our best to publish it free and open access. So please contact if you are in a preparation of any paper. Next, I wanted to make an announcement that we have, as part of our network, we are going to organize, or we have already made some provisions, like we have made a web page, and we are going to open the call very soon, probably on Monday, on an annual conference, and you can take part as a speaker, keynote speaker, plenary speaker. I'm looking for everyone here to join me, scientific committee and delegates, and also speaker on sessions. You can propose track proposals to this. And I'm looking forward to have you all on this occasion. And it is on 10th and 11th of December. And we are going to try, it is going to be online, and we are going to try to make it in a way that every part of the world can join us. And it is especially very important to me because it is my husband's birthday, and I want to celebrate with people contributing to sustainable futures. So, and before I end this with this slide, I want to share another important announcement, which is, let me share. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is this one. And I hope you can see a book on climate adaptation, accounts of resilience, self-sufficiency, and sustainable change has been published by Earthbound Foundation. Earthbound Foundation is a charity, and many voluntary hours have gone to in publishing this book. I am part of this book as an author, and so I would just like to read this, our background on why we tried to develop this book. Where is the world really heading, and what can we do about it? This book takes an unflinching look at climate change, drawing upon the latest data to analyze where the next decades hold in store. And with atmospheric CO2 at unprecedented levels and insufficient action being taken to prevent a rise in temperature about 2 degrees centigrade, we are not just looking at significant disturbance, but the possibility of societal collapse. For the first time ever, the magnitude of this challenge is faced head on, with avenues to truly address it presented. Case studies and models from over 18 authors around the world show ways that we can build adaptation and resilience, as well as what zero emissions really mean. So the book also provides a platform for those from a range of diverse backgrounds whose unique experience and knowledge brings vital new perspective, from those already feeling the impacts of climate change in the global south to community leaders fighting to create real alternatives. We get a chance to understand the nausas and possibilities of the task ahead. And here, so therefore in this book, we all contribute as an author. So I'm going to send this you later, so please have a look. And it is costing on, so many of the free copies are available if you approach the right channel and right people. But however, the copy is also very low cost, which is only £9.99, and it is going to be released on 25th of October, just before the climate COP26. And so I will stop here sharing this. And so you are welcome to have a look at this, and it is also going to be online and as an audiobook as well. So thank you very much for all your presence here and listening to today's event. And I highly appreciate your time. I will stop here now. Any comments before I stop? Thank you very much.